Welcome to the Silver Report. Here we are. It's Friday, February 17th, 2017. We have gold currently trading at $1,236.30. Silver's at $18.08. And let's get into some of the economic factors that are going to be playing a part in the price of precious metals. And now, what we're seeing regarding the U.S. economy, there's this new study that came out. The advocacy group, the Young Invincibles, they looked at incomes, assets, net worth, home ownership, and retirement savings of millennials and boomers when they were around the same age. And so this all was compiled from data from the Federal Reserve. So what we found is that millennials 15 to 34 years old in 2013 were worth roughly half as much as the boomer generation, and are earning about 20% less in comparison to young adults in 1989. Now, just how huge this disparity is. While millennials earned $40,581 on average in 2013, members of the boomer generation earned $50,910 annually in 1989. Now compare that to $1989 compared to the dollar in 2013 after the financial crisis, after the printing. That is a significantly higher number, almost double. Meanwhile, young adults with debt and a degree in 2013, now this is a serious figure, they earned roughly the same as those who had no degree at all in 1989. The lower number on the paycheck, it also comes out in a form of a lower net worth. So, on top of that, millennials are worth about $10,900 on average. The baby boomers, they were worth about $25,035 at the same age. And their income, their spending, their peak spending is dropping off. And so what we're facing is going to be some very drastic changes in the shape of our economy and what it means for our financial system. Lower number on the paycheck, it also materializes in the form of lower net worth. As we look here on the graph, it's showing even worse disparity. Now, when it comes to, we're not going to look at no degree yet, but when it comes to degree, having a degree without debt, we see that the total assets has declined by 45%. Degree with debt, which as we look at the student loan data, we see that they have severely undervalued it. There is a massive student loan crisis. So all the people coming out with degrees these days, it's not worth anything because they've had a 71% decline in assets compared to 1989. And so these findings, they cover that millennials have been set back significantly. Not just the Great Recession, but decades long of these financial trends. They're resulting in major generational declines in financial security between millennials and baby boomers and when they're the same age. So what we're saying, it doesn't bode well for the economic health of the nation. Millennials, this is how serious this is. They make up the greatest share of the workforce and the largest generation in history. So in many ways, the situation facing the young adults today forecasts the financial challenges that we are going to be facing as a result of this. And it's not just them, because what we're seeing, the fact is that people used to retire. Now what they're saying, more than 12 million people will leave their jobs to retire between 2012 and 2022, but only 7 million will start work. 12 million people will leave their jobs to retire between 2012 and 2022. Only 7 million will start work. With birth rates staying low, talent pools are shrinking across the globe. And so 40% of global employers are struggling with talent shortages right now. They're having to train more workers. In fact, because workers have been out of work for so long, they're not finding anybody with experience. Yeah, there's jobs out there. There's jobs out there. If you have a triple black belt, a PhD in finance, and can design, maintain the company's website, and post pictures on eBay, yeah, you got the job. How about a flying unicorn? Pay $10 an hour. That's what we're facing today. And on top of that, we have significant talent pool shortages. More than half are looking to train they're developing internal candidates as a solution to fill their vacancies. More increasingly, they're having one job role split multiple positions. Employers in the Asia Pacific region, they have the greatest problems with recruitment right now. In Japan, 86% of companies are struggling to fill positions. It may be coincidental, but Japan is the country with the highest life expectancy. So what we're seeing is a major change, because when people used to retire at 50 years old in this country, we now have the number of people over 65 in work has more than doubled since 1995. The fact 50 is still the prime of a person's career is reflected in the growing share of older entrepreneurs. Starting new business may become virtually synonymous with bright young things straight out of university. However, in 2015, nearly a quarter of entrepreneurs and development and people who were launching new businesses in the US were aged 55 to 64. And that's because of this significant decline in wages and net wealth of the population. That's nearly 10% more than in 1996. So what we're seeing is that, especially since the conversion of these jobs, because we used to have high-paying manufacturing jobs and people would be out and they'd be retired. They would have enough money set aside. But now in service jobs, we see the disparity. People that are over 60, between 65 and 74 since 1980 have risen dramatically, especially if they're working within service jobs, because they're not making enough money to be able to retire. Social Security is not keeping up with inflation. Overall employment, we see a massive rise of gains in employment in recent decades for workers aged 65 to 74 and 55 to 64. People are coming out and getting their pensions and having to go back to work. That's because our money is virtually worthless these days. And when they were working and making more money, they're not able to spend their golden years spending, which is so dangerous for our economy. And it is a major part of the money velocity slowdown that we're seeing in this country. So the effects, the ramifications of this slowdown and this change are yet to be fully felt. Matter of fact, that's why we have a total decline. And they say we're not in a recession, but yet millennials are not buying homes. They're not moving. They're not owning property or having any assets or savings. And more than that, they are being crushed under debt and unable to find jobs. And for those who have jobs, since most of their high-paying jobs have been stripped from this country, we have people working service sector jobs long after they're able to walk comfortably, let alone work. And so, given the changing demographic makeup of many developed economies right now, we're seeing a new form of retirement emerge. One that starts later. It's a great deal less sedentary and by no means rings in the sunset of life. People aren't going out and vacationing in Florida anymore, going on cruises in their later years. No, they're working at Walmart. However, businesses and policymakers, they need to adapt to employment frameworks more proactively. And so, because this is a dangerous trend. This is a dangerous trend. And on top of that, we see that Social Security is on the chopping block, as we saw during the presidential debates, mainly because of one simple fact: they don't have the money. All right, thank you guys for joining me here on Silver Report. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe, like the videos, share the videos, get the word out. We have to wake the people up. And I thank you guys so much for stopping by. As always, stay safe.